Is your attacking AI useless and never finding space? Well, do not worry. Today, I got you with a player lock tutorial. Are you struggling to create space in the attack because your players are standing around, staring, and not moving? Well, then the player lock mechanic is something you need to incorporate into your gameplay. This will take your attack to the next level and your opponents will not be expecting it. So helpful with creating space. I personally love using this alongside the directed runs. Link to that video in the description. Combining these two together makes you very unpredictable, and as you can see here, you can bait your opponents with it. I'm here to show you guys today how to do it, where I like to use it, and how to maximize it. Imagine all those runs you want your players to make. We are now going to make those runs ourselves so we don't have to rely and pray for our AI to be smart. It's really nice, like I said, as a bait, as you can see in some of these clips, but also creating space with through balls and in general opening up passing options. Live controller will be on the screen, slowed down tutorial as usual, plus an added in controller. Then afterwards, we will give an in-game live explanation. So without further ado, let's get started. We first need to go into our settings, make sure the player lock mechanic is on, otherwise this will not work. Now to player lock. Click both of your joysticks in at the same time. Let go. Flick your right stick to the player you want to pass to and call for the ball. Again, click both of your joysticks at the same time. Let go. Flick your right stick to the player you want and call for the ball. The big note here, make sure you don't accidentally click your right stick before your left stick. Otherwise, your player will kick the ball up in the air, do a little flick up. We do not want that. So we click both of our joysticks, it'll activate the player lock, flick our right stick to the player we want, and call for the ball. Now to get more advanced, after you click both joysticks and flick your right stick, you can actually continue to flick your right stick multiple times and switch between players. So flick your right stick, move the player around, flick it again, move the player around, do as you please, and when you are ready, call for the ball. Big thing with this being the right stick switching is based off of the player indicator on your head. That may sound obvious, but it is not based off of the player that has the ball. So originally they will start with the indicator, the player with the ball, but then as you start switching around, you'll see this indicator move. So just pay attention to the controller. You'll get used to it as you do it more, and it is really good at creating distractions. Your opponent doesn't know who you're going to switch to ultimately. Now, let's say you don't want to pass the ball. The ball carrier is about to get tackled or is just going in an area you do not want. You can cancel the player lock. To do this, click both joysticks again. So you're going to see here, I click it once to activate the player lock. I'm going to click it a second time and this will cancel it. So the first time to start the player lock, then you click it again, this will cancel it. Where is this effective? As you can see, I switched to a player. You can move them around, bait the run as I was showing you guys earlier, and then go back to the original ball carrier. We will showcase this again in a little bit, but it is really, really effective at creating space as people are usually distracted on the player you switch to. Now, one of the things I really like about the player lock is you choose the type of pass you receive. So you've probably been seeing in some of these examples, just simple ground passes. But you can call for an over-the-top through ball as you just saw. You can call for ground through passes. And ultimately, that is decided by you. So if you just push A or X if you're on PlayStation, you'll get a ground pass. Triangle or Y on Xbox, you'll get a through ball, etc., etc. You decide the type of pass you get. So this is really nice. Based on the run you end up making, you can choose the type of pass you play. Now, this is really good with crossing. This exact example, I'm just showing you the fact that you can cross the ball. I wouldn't actually have crossed it to that player. But let's say you have someone with aerial in the box. You can player lock to them and look to cross it in. Let's say your winger or your outside back is too tucked in. You can pull them out wide, give them a better angle, and then cross the ball or switch the field to them. Really, really nice. You decide the type of pass you give. That is the nice thing about the player lock. So again, the first way I like using this is as a player lock bait. Click the joysticks, switch players, and then you re-click the joystick again to go back to the original ball carrier. People fall for this all the time. Go back and look at some of the original clips that I started this video out with. You'll see it. Really, really effective. Really, really nice. I catch people lacking all the time with this. Remember, do not accidentally click your right stick too early, because if they don't get clicked at the same time, you might accidentally flick the ball up. You're going to see here, I use it as a bait, he covers the pass, and then it leaves space in behind for us to exploit. Really, really easy. The second spot I like using this, in passing. Through balls or wing play, so dragging a player to make a through ball run or to create space out wide. And two, to pull a player that would originally just run all the way into the goal. How often are you playing where your striker will just run behind the defender or just keep running straight and not give you a passing option? You can switch to the player and pull them back, giving you that angle that you wouldn't originally have had. And then it just creates such simple goals. Like, I just double said how simple that is, but simple goals. You just pull the player back, gives you an easy passing option. And if you do it really quickly, they're not going to expect it. That is a spot I also like using the directed runs in personally, but they both have their pros and cons and definitely can be usable. So that is something to use. As you're seeing here, you can bait and then still look to get the through ball. In these next few examples, you're going to see I'm going to look to start playing some through balls, use the wings a little bit, because a lot of the times your attacker will kind of just not make the run you always want. And so if you can grab them and put them in a position that is advantageous for yourself, that'll be really, really helpful. As you can see here, I player lock, able to play over the top through ball, create space. Opponent's not expecting that, and then we score a very simple goal. Like to do this a lot. Again, use it on the wing, make my player go forward. Sometimes you don't want to just send them on a straight run. By player locking, I can make them run at angles and move them to the space I want. Now to show you some live footage of me doing this, kind of messing around with it, but I'm going to show you how effective this is. So I player lock, fake the inside, go outside. Now, you can see player lock bait. He looks to guard that pass. He's so focused on it, and then he realizes I'm keeping the ball. Throw him off. Now pay attention again. I'm doing player locks like crazy. The more you do it, you'll get used to it. But you can just see, you can create a lot of space. I'm going to show you a few good examples here in a second. But again, boom, fake inside, went outside, create space. The more you start doing this, your opponent will start getting flustered. Most people's right stick switching is not good enough to keep up with the player locks because people don't know how to switch players. Here you can see a good example of switching between two different players making runs before I ultimately make a pass. My opponent doesn't know who to guard. Very, very good distraction. Really effective. That's an example that I was explaining earlier with being a bit more advanced and switching between players a bit more. You can throw your opponent off. Like I said, not expecting it here. He was focused on the cutback. Fortunately, we just missed. But here you see, get the through ball. We start messing around with the player lock. I was just trying to have some fun. This was all in just one game of showing you how much the player lock can make a difference with creating space. Here, eventually, he's going to be so focused on me making the side pass that I'm able to go down the line, and then I'm just start playing, wiggle, and we get the penalty. So, with player locks, canceling them for baiting, opening up passing angles, pulling a player back from going off sides or staying behind a defender, and looking for through balls. Those are some of the spots I really like using it. Again, directed runs are also very helpful. So if you don't know how to do those, the link for that video is in the description. Feel free to check that out. Try to add these into your repertoire. They will help you with creating space. You don't need to spam it 50 times a game. It's not what I'm saying. But here and there, you throw it in at times. It can help you in certain situations. That's where I like to use it. Hopefully this tutorial made sense. If there's anything else you'd like to see, as always, drop a comment, let me know. And as always, stay wiggly.